Reiner Fuellmich, his prosecution, and it was again a very spectacular day, even though it was half a day.
Yes.
We were expecting the lawyer Christof Miseré to hold his plea, and he didn't show up.
No.
Which wasn't the first time that he didn't show up. And
I don't even remember the last time when he showed up.
No.
Was it in October? I don't know.
Yeah. He called ill, which he often has done. And it was a nuisance for the defense because none of the others were prepared to speak. Reiner seemed to be angry. And he said that to the judges, you think that it's us who are deliberately delaying this process, but this is not our doing. We're also not happy that he's not here to give his plea.
Yeah, we don't know any reasons either.
Yeah. And they asked,
don't know why, really.
Yeah, and he asked the court
if the last minute. Yes.
Yeah. So that was how it started. But there's a lot to say about it. I don't really know. Do you want to give a shot at the start? We don't have to do everything yet. We just want to do a bit of a clip.
Yeah.
Because Reiner will come out shortly in his car, so maybe we can film that as well. But we just wanted to give a first quick.
Yes. Well, I think. As far as I understood, Katja was ill. Katja Wörmer, who's the main lawyer who is always here, was sick actually, and she just heard about the not presence of Dr. Miseré this morning, and last minute she jumped into her car and came anyway, but she didn't feel very well, and she was knowing that it was the day of. I mean, it was since weeks that it was foreseen that he will do his pleas today. She was not specifically preparing for today. And as well, Reiner was doing his pleas the last week, so it was either Mr. Miseré or Reiner who would keep going. Yeah. But they asked Katja to keep going.
Yeah, and Reiner didn't have his papers with him, he said.
Ah, yeah?
Was that it? That's what I thought.
I didn't understand that. Okay, maybe, yeah. And there was a big. In general, there was an atmosphere of being upset, right?
Yeah, Reiner was clearly angry. Katja was quite assertive, if we want to say. She was also quite angry because she has been pulling this case for over a year now, and
way more than a year because she started in October 2022.
Yeah, but there's never a day or never a hearing that she cannot be present. I mean, she's come when she was ill, and this time she thought she could stay home. But it's always up to her. Everything seems to be on her shoulders.
Yes.
But anyway, so it started off late because she came in late because she jumped in the car late. And then immediately it was like, what is happening now? And Reiner requested to have some time to discuss it, but he wasn't given that.
Yes, right. And I think he was as well suggesting to read a part of an email or anything, but they said no, it's Mrs. Wörmer has to talk today. Yeah. So he wasn't given the word. He was refused the word several times.
Several times. He wasn't really allowed to speak. He tried to, and but he said Herr Schindler, the chair, kept saying, it's not your right, it's not your turn to speak. So the atmosphere was loaded. I must say, Katja, her plea was impressive for somebody who is very prepared and who is sick.
Impressive, yes.
I mean, I wish I could do that. She's so, that's really her quality, to be so coherent and logically built up. And at one point, for all of us, it was the most powerful moment, is that when she suddenly addressed the my English is going, judges.
Yes.
And she said to them, you're just looking at me all the time. All the time you're looking at us and nobody's asking the question. And it was then that I realized, actually, as long as I've been there, none of the judges, apart from the chair who interact, have asked any questions. And then she said to one of the judges, now you're looking at me and you're sort of laughing in my face with this sort of mocking pity.
Yeah,
Whereas
right.
I'm ill. I've come here deliberately to cover the hole that has been, left by somebody not turning up. But you're just laughing. You're not asking questions. You're not taking in anything.
Yeah.
You're not letting us ask. You're not letting us invite the witnesses we want. And if we bring them along, then we're only allowed to ask this question and that question, and not the questions we want to ask.
Yeah.
And you're just sitting there. I don't know. We've been here time and time again, but again, it summed up the absolute absurdity of this case.
Totally. Really like absurd theater.
Yeah.
Or like really bad series in how do you say that? RTL2, the German broadcasting.
Soap opera.
Soap opera, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, probably it's interesting to say that she started describing the situation with everything that is going on in the net around the plaintiffs, right? Because that one has until a really big issue, but actually there are so many things going on in the background, and on so many levels, and with so many persons, you never know. Mostly fake identities, you have to say, and a lot of attacks, and a lot of really, how do you say that?
Below the belt.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is about Facebook, Telegram mostly. Well, Facebook and Telegram chats. And there's been a Telegram chat that is the Reiner Fuellmich fact checker chat, in which the facts aren't checked but are reversed or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bullying hotline, 24 hours a day.
Yeah, and they, the suspicion is that the people who have started this whole charade, so the Antonia Fischer, Justice Hoffman, and maybe Marcel Templini is behind it, and maybe Viviane Fischer, we don't know, that they're all on this chat and sort of, criminalizing or at least framing Fuellmich left, right, and center, and
insulting.
And they're pictures of, cut and paste pictures of nude bodies with their heads on in SM situations, and it's totally madness.
And it's not only against Reiner Fuellmich, but it's against the entire defense, against all the lawyers, against being present at these these trial days. And even I thought about something. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it's a lot of and it's like they are paying for it because they keep it's also they keep doing this. It's all the time. It's going on day and night.
I don't know the chats, but
me either.
But and then Katja Wörmer said that she has been. She's got these 2 fines for 2 charges for her making public these statements by Reiner Fuellmich, whereas she said, well, I did get permission from the judge. And it seems like this permission suddenly stopped protecting her when Reiner Fuellmich started accusing the management of the prison he's in. And that then this whole attack on her started happening. She's also being charged with 2 other things that have nothing to do with the court hearings, but it's like this to weaken the defense sort of procedure. And so she made a point of saying that it's wearing everybody down, of course. And then the judge tried to throw in, but this has nothing to do with the case. And then Reiner got very angry, says it's got everything to do with the case because it's the defense who are now being attacked as well.
But it's interesting because they totally refuse all this background informations. But anyway, I mean that's very interesting. That's very interesting information.
Yeah, it's very interesting information. And Joon, the public prosecutor, was there on his own with an assistant who just sits there. I think maybe she's just an intern to learn or whatever.
Looks like yes.
And at a certain point, there was an email from Christof Miseré, or a statement from Christof Miseré that he must have sent, or during the day.
Yes,
I don't know.
Concerning his Facebook account.
Yeah, that his Facebook account was hacked. That he's been targeted as well, also with we mentioned this before, a picture sent of his daughter with no message, like a warning.
And he's as well accused of how do you say that?
Faking.
Not really of faking, but of making violence calls against the judges.
Oh yeah, of threatening the judges.
Of threatening the judges, and it's called.
Yeah.
Yes. But it was right in the moment when his account got hacked, and there were a lot of fake accounts interfering with that appeared all of a sudden and then disappeared right after. That was after he himself said, "Well, my account was hacked." So it was.
Yeah, they
very,
appeared
very,
and they
strange,
said, "We're
yes.
IT specialists. We can help you find the IP address." And then maybe he did send them something, and then they said, "It's your own address. You constructed this yourself." So it only got worse because of. And then they disappeared again. One said he was a policeman from somewhere else, and then his profile changed. I mean,
it's totally weird.
This case is. It's a dirty case. There are so many dirty tricks, and there's so many little off-topic happenings, and it's very difficult to put it all in words.
That's why we said soap opera. It's really worth. I mean, you could be paid for doing a screen for
just doing right after, playing it. But during this reading of Christof Miseré's email, Johan, the public prosecutor, he was laughing.
Yes.
He was holding his head in laughter, shaking, this was so ridiculous, blah, 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 until the name dominatrix and the fake accounts and the connection with the public prosecutor, or suggested connection with the public. Then he was very busy. He was suddenly reading a book and looking on a screen, and he was doing something else. So,
I don't remember the exact point, but I mean, he was attacked either by Reiner himself or by Katja Wörmer. He was addressed, not attacked, but he was addressed directly, and after that he was very hiding and reading and being busy and fixing his screen. He did.
Well, Katja Wörmer pulled him out on pretending to do something else. Remember, she said that you're hiding behind, your papers and stuff. Whereas, of course, he's supposed to listen to the whole thing and to pay attention because he is supposed to react, which he also never does.
He was sitting there with a big book and then watching the book.
Yeah. No, it was. But what was especially painful is that Katja Wörmer again summed up all the things in chronological order, and to have it explicitly said that. It was clear already in August of 2022 that Reiner's house was going to be sold for 1.3 million, and that he was going to pay it back. That is from the email.
And even the person who was going to buy the house was clear.
Yeah.
I mean, everything was ready to be
processed.
Yes.
And yet, even though this was all clear to everybody in August of 2022, they then went to the public prosecutor and they handed in this thing to prosecute him. So they couldn't wait till the 2nd of October when actually the house was officially going to be transferred, the money was going to be transferred. And Katja Wörmer said rightfully, why didn't they wait till after the sale? If he had not paid back the money after the sale of the house, money is usually parked with the solicitor for a while, you could have then started it. So they never wanted it to and there was also, I remember at the time, there was all this fuss about him not having entered the house or the debt in the Grundbuch of the house.
Yeah.
So in the papers you can enter a supposed debt.
Yeah.
But then Reiner said, or Katja for Reiner said, but that was totally illogical. When you already know the house is going to be sold, it's going to be officially sold 1 month later. Why would you put a debt on the house that would then make the buyer think twice about buying a house? He doesn't want to buy a house with 700,000 so-called debt reserve on it.
It's not logical.
No. And so all these things, to have them all summed up, and how Reiner was still during the summer, but even up till the actual start of the trial, was busy to come to a deal, whereas the other party they were never they were never in search of a deal with him. They wanted him behind bars.
I mean, this was taking place more than a year, I think.
Yeah. And Katja, we must ask her later. Katja read she said that when Reiner was imprisoned and before the prosecution started, that she had still tried to mediate between parties and come to an agreement. And that she then read an email that she received, and that was that Antonia Fischer and Justus Hoffmann, they requested to have the 700,000, and that was on top of the almost 2 million that they'd taken from him. Plus, they wanted all the gold. Did I understand that right? Or a majority?
I don't know. More than half of the
gold, at least. And they had more requested that Reiner would this and that, and we'll have to ask her specifically what that was. But it was to point out how absurd this case was, that it wasn't about that money, that it was just to wipe them out, financially, professionally, everything.
And I mean, Katja Wörmer asked as well the big question: in what way did they earn this money? I mean, if they still were parts of this society,
if this foundation was still there,
yes. Why do they think they would have the right to have this money? They never did any work before the scene, behind the scenes. They never prepared anything. They never paid anyone. They never ordered any service or anything. It's obvious that they almost didn't anything. They were sitting there for a while, and that's it, basically. And even I know people who have watched the Corona Investigative Committee ask themselves, what are they doing? I mean, I had the same question. Why are they always in bad mood? Why are they sitting there? I mean, it was such a... And Katja Wörmer asked this question and compared this to a company. If you have a real company and somebody's working 60 hours a week and he's investing everything for several years and doing the work, and you have some person in this company who never does anything, who's probably present in the first weeks, but then doesn't appear anymore, he doesn't do anything, and after a few years he's asking to share the income of the entire half of the company. I mean, that's so absurd.
Yeah.
It's so absurd. Yeah. And I mean, it's obvious to everybody that those guys aren't doing anything for the aim the money was donated for.
Yeah. So that was the hearing. On the side, there's this other thing. Maybe we should talk about that later. But there's been a hearing in Berlin at the Amtsgericht that Viviane Fischer started against Andrea Christidis. Now, Andrea Christidis is the woman who founded a foundation to
support children's rights and in terms of
child abuse.
Child abuse, yes, which is called Action Resist.
Yeah, and she has done some interviews, but she's also made some statements, and she has said at a certain point that the guarantee that came from the husband of Viviane Fischer, that she was always ready to pay the money back,
ready and able,
that is a doubtful statement because now I forget the two reasons.
Well, she said that it was a fake statement. In the first, it was a wrong statement, a false statement, and the second part
is that he didn't have the money.
Yes, because there are actually some proofs in the background, which probably we don't precise here, but there are some proofs that really made clear that the money was not there.
Oh, I'm not sure actually for missing out, because she also said that she might have made a deal. That was one of the statements. She might have made a deal with the public prosecutor. Yeah. And that sounds a bit far-fetched, but not when you know that Viviane Fischer was charged, or was not charged, but she did get the English words are going.
Yes.
The public prosecutor also had a file on her to prosecute her.
Yes.
And they dropped it somewhere in November, or they started it in November. Or
2003, I think. No, 2023.
23. So they started it in November and they dropped it in 2023.
Yeah.
And so idea that maybe a deal was made is, yeah. So the case was lost by Andrea Christides. Yeah, it was decided that she's going to go to appeal it.
Oh, okay.
But there are two other cases in Berlin, but then with the Landgericht, also initiated by Viviane Fischer against two other statements that
made by Andrea
Christides.
Yeah.
Now I left to look at my notes because I can't remember what they were about.
I don't know.
And there are two other complaints that haven't yet been brought to a court or haven't been submitted. Okay. But she has two other, and even Andrea Christides doesn't know what these complaints against her, or charges against her are. Yeah, so and then there was this edition of the Corona Ausschuss number 235, where Viviane Fischer complained about being attacked by people from the resistance, and I think she meant Andrea Christides.
Oh.
You know, and that it was so unfair and blah, blah, blah. And she was going to explain a little bit, and then Wolfgang Wodark, who was in the broadcast, he said, no, don't, because it's beyond, you know, it's not important enough. You don't have to defend yourself. And it seemed absurd to me because she's complaining about a couple of accusations, and here we have a man in prison for over 16 months.
Almost 17 in a few days.
Yeah.
It's in 3 days. It's 17 months.
Yeah. And then at the end she asked 250,000 in donations because she wants to archive part of the Corona Ausschuss, which I don't know much about. But it seems like a considerable. Absolutely. And she was sort of lamenting the fact that she couldn't access the funds, meaning probably the 7,000 that has been confiscated by Tempe, and the gold that Reiner doesn't want to sign for anymore. Reiner offered to sign for the gold in October of 2022. Then she didn't want to have it, and now, of course, understandably, he refuses to do so because all his money is gone, so he doesn't want to have more taken away until he gets out. So she's lamenting that fact, and she hopes that people will spend money and then bring up to 250,000. She does mention that she has some other sources of money, but it isn't quite clear what.
Yeah.
And at the end, she says that she hopes this all can be resolved. These 200, I'm assuming these 250,000, or maybe she means the accusations. I don't know, because she said there's a big burden on her, and she wants to be alleviated by this burden, which is absurd in the terms of who is carrying the burden here.
I mean, that's right. And I didn't follow this in detail, but it is absurd anyway.
It is absolutely mad. Here comes a police bus, which means that Reiner must be picked up very shortly. Yep. All right, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Djamila.
Ich merke, dass ich hier festgeklemmt bin.
Ja, ich auch.
Stau.
Das hat man noch nicht, ne? Dass sie im Stau stehen, das hat... Oh.